I never shared Nintendo's nostalgia that a lot of people have. I did play on the Nintendo, but I played other games, and those games maybe, would probably be the games that I have the nostalgia for. These past few weekends, I haven't been making as many videos. In fact, this past few weeks, because I've been DIYing, and I remember having bought my kids a Nintendo, the first Nintendo Switch. I ended up looking back and saying, why did I even bother getting them this stuff when I could have just basically put them on gaming PCs with those funds? Well, since then, I started repurposing my old, PC components, and anything that I wasn't using anymore, I just saved it. Since then, it's become like, a rite of passage in our home that at some point, when you reach certain benchmarks, you get a PC for yourself. You can use it for homework, you can use it for all kinds of fun stuff, but it will have that piece where you can game on it. Now, looking at Nintendo Switch 2, I think that decision was a sound one for me. I'm not saying that that's what you should go do. Don't come out here saying, well, do what you want to do. I'm just pointing out that that decision to basically move them and abandon the Nintendo in a little corner, it sits in a whatever, and it's a Minecraft machine at this point in time. And then hopefully when they all probably get to a point, they probably build themselves a Minecraft server if they want to go ahead and do that. But looking at the way Capcom and Square Enix are actually taking their games to Nintendo Switch 2, it's starting to feel a lot just like every other console. Because the third-party piece, in terms of them looking for ways to get their games to more people, is becoming more and more pronounced. And I don't necessarily think that a lot of the work that's required, and I'm going to say this right now, to put your games on the Switch 2 is actually that much of a challenge for these developers. Which kind of also makes it weird why the Nintendo Switch 2 is now this thing, but a lot of developers seemingly abandoned the PlayStation 4. What was the incentive? Why would they leave a console that I felt, or I still feel, whether or not I feel that it's capable is not even the big deal, but a console that is still capable, why did they even go ahead and leave that console out of the whole running? Looking at, and okay, if anybody wants to argue that the console was probably not the most, easy enough to develop for console or whatever it is, look at Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals is going to basically be bringing its game to the PlayStation 4. I mean, if developers really wanted to look for a place to put their games, there's nowhere, in my opinion, that's better than putting it on a console hardware that really does have an established player base that you already have possibly development kits for than the PlayStation 4. To me, there really is no reason to be, sweating the Nintendo Switch 2 dev kits when you have PlayStation 4, sitting right there. I don't know. Is it me or am I crazy? Look at Marvel Rivals too. Look at Marvel Rivals as well. They said here on the AI overview, it says Marvel Rivals is not available for the PlayStation 4. The game officially launched on PS4 on September 12th, 2025. So the free-to-play developers that are looking for gamers to play their games, you need look no further. There is an audience of gamers that is sitting on a PlayStation ecosystem that might likely play your game, and they're going to pretty much be served. Just go ahead and think about the fact that games like Call of Duty are still launching on the PlayStation 4. If that does not clue you in that the biggest game on PlayStation is not looking down on the PS4, then, I don't know what else will clue you in to that reality. And right now, I can't help but say, even the biggest and the smartest developers who are wanting to make these Switch 2 ports, that have gone ahead to maybe even abandon the PlayStation 4. Perhaps maybe they, pursued a paradigm or a thought process that because Call of Duty had already kind of taken over the platform, they didn't see it necessary to get a PS4 port. But who knows what their thinking is. I don't think that's a smart way to go. I think being on a platform alone means that you leverage a platform as best as you can. Some people swear, it's time for us to go ahead and abandon, the PlayStation 4. I've always laughed at that notion. If you have at least a 30% of PlayStation's user base still sitting on that particular platform, you really need to make sure that you're making games for it. Guys, 30%. And what's weird is a lot of the people who've actually said this are the PlayStation users. And it makes me go ahead and say, wait, you mean to tell me that you all are the chiefs and champions of console sales, but somewhere, somehow, you don't know that 30% of this particular ecosystem equals over 30 million consoles? That is basically equating to what is claimed that Xbox has sold, even though they didn't sell 30 million. They've probably sold more. But let's just say the last snapshot that we got was all of Xbox. These developers are making games for a console that is, at the 30 million-ish, 35, 40 million mark, and leaving the PlayStation 4 out there. And then they want to jump to the Nintendo Switch 2, which, yes, they may be able to ride the waves of that console, but you could have been making bank all this while in making your game or scoping your game where it will run on those platforms. So this is, in my opinion, something that I strongly believe that developers need to basically channel their minds towards. The old school days, just the way of doing things is no longer the case right now. You really got to think very carefully as to how video games and the different platforms that they show up on make for an advantage for developers. So going back to this and looking at a Nintendo Switch 2, I foresee them basically having an ecosystem and a platform that looks like everybody else's. Their games, which, have always done well on their ecosystem, will start to now face a very interesting challenge. No longer are they going to basically have that console that's just pretty much going to be based on, say, how do you put it? Those little tiny games, right? They're going to have a console that now has the big names where the big boys and girls can come and play. I wonder how that's going to affect things. But I'll leave it up to them. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching the video. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.